It's just such a crazy time to be alive for all of us. And it feels so often like we are spinning. The whole world feels like it's spinning around us, that it makes no sense. Which is one of the reasons that intentionality came to me, why that term kept coming up in my mind, in my heart, is because the world does have a purpose. Things do happen for a reason. And the more I started to pay attention to what was happening around me, the more I was able to look at things without anger and hatred or fear, the more I could understand how those events fit into my life to create who I am today. And the more I started paying attention, the more that I saw. So learning to live your life with that divine intention is a way of getting your world to stop spinning. Not only do you have control in this world, but you are partnered with the universe. You are a team. Hell, we're all a team together. We all play a role for each other. Understanding how those roles fit in is crucial to living a happy, fulfilling, joyful life where the world not only doesn't feel like it's spinning, it feels amazing. To get there, we need to start learning to listen. And I'm not just talking about to each other, I'm talking about to the universe, because the universe is talking to you. The universe is constantly sending you messages to either reinforce or correct the things that you're doing, the path that you're taking. And when you start to listen to the universe and look for the signs that it leads you, you open up a two-way dialect. When you listen and adhere to what the universe is trying to do, because the universe is coming from a place of love, it's trying to help you live the best life that you can get. When you start listening, now you've gone from trying to swim up current to now just floating along with the universe. And the universe will give you what you need. It will put in front of you the opportunities that you need. Because you've learned to listen. You've learned to communicate with each other. That is what today's show is about. This two-way communication. The term that a lot of people use for the universe sending you signals is synchronicity. Synchronicity means a meaningful coincidence. Something that happens 2 or more times is considered a coincidence. A meaningful coincidence means that that event that happens multiple times relates to something you are thinking, doing, or feeling at that moment. It's something that's meaningful to you. It is the universe's way of saying, hey, this is not the way you want to be going. This is not what you want to be doing right now. Or this is perfect for you. Even if it's just a bird that you love, your favorite type of bird appears 2 or 3 times in a day. And maybe it's just the universe saying that it's there, that it's listening. So these synchronicities are a way to live your life with divine intention. Once we start to understand what synchronicity is, how to recognize it, the benefits of listening to it, and then practice that skill, your ability to communicate with the universe is going to open up exponentially so that you have direct input and guidance into every aspect of your life. So many of us go to psychics and spiritual mentors for guidance and support. I've been to a ton of mentors. I'm still under a couple mentorships. And it's always because we're looking for information. We're looking for guidance to find our way in this world. Synchronicities are your own guidance. They're guidance directly for you from source, from the universe. Unfiltered messages just for you. Just think of how much of a difference it'll make if you learn to hear those messages, understand those messages. What would your life be like if you had a direct line of communication with the universe? What would you do? Heck, what couldn't you do? So today's show is all about synchronicity. I'm going to go through where it came from, the origins of it, why it has so many benefits, to start listening to the universe, and then how to do it, how to listen to it, some of the signs that people see all of the time. And then we'll get into some practices that you can use to enhance your ability to receive these signs. So I'm going to share a story of mine that showed me very, very clearly that synchronicity was legit. That was real. I was going through an incredibly hard time in my life. And I was financially completely broke. I was living in an apartment I couldn't afford. I had just broken up with the guy I was living with. I hated my job. And I had horrible neck pain that was stopping me from sleeping. Now, in my beautiful militant stubbornness, I kept going forward. I addressed things as I could. I ignored the one and only panic attack I've ever had in my life. I pretended that I wasn't falling into a depression, dealing with all of that. And I was spiraling. I was completely spiraling out of control. I felt like the world was punishing me for something. I felt like I was drowning. So in this apartment that I had that I couldn't afford, all of a sudden, almost overnight, I started to develop an incredible fear about my apartment, that something was watching me. Something was always watching me. And I remember for weeks when I would go to sleep, it would feel like something was touching me. It would feel like something would pull on the covers of where I was sleeping. I would constantly wake up with that feeling that I was getting pulled off the bed, that something was sitting beside me and dipping the bed down. This just escalated my fear even more. I'm like, why am I all of a sudden scared of my apartment? What's going on in my mental life that is now, it's got me fearing the dark? So I continue to ignore it. I just continue to push through because that's the stubborn person I am. All of a sudden I started being woken up. And when I would wake up, I would look over to the corner of the room and there would be a black mass, this smoky mass over in the corner, this dark, dark color. And you know, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you think you see something, if you stare at it long enough, you'll realize what it is, right? It's the coat hanger. So I would stare at this mass, and not only would it not change into some innocuous item, it would start moving towards me. This mass would shift and morph and like crawl across the walls. One night I woke up and that mass was now red, brick red, and it was sitting right above my head. I was so scared of what was going on in my apartment that I started sleeping with the light on. I wouldn't go into my bedroom until the last possible second, until I was exhausted, because I was so scared to close my eyes. I felt like I truly had a ghost. That presence, that constant fear is what led me to my spiritual awakening, because I was so freaking scared and so worn out on everything, not sleeping, no money, hated my job. Like the world is clearly punishing me. I have to find something. And that led me to Edgar Cayce's Association in Virginia Beach, the ARE. As soon as I went to the ARE, it was like the floodgates opened up for me. I started finding books about exactly what I was going through at that time. I went to a retreat, the first retreat I'd ever gone to, and cried for 4 days because every single meditation this woman led us on, Judith Pennington, every single meditation she led was exactly what was happening in my life right there. And it just cracked me open. But the best part is after I went to the area, after I went to this retreat, I never saw that ghost again. I never saw that entity again. It stopped waking me up in the middle of the night. That was a very, very physical, mental, emotional sign for me that I had to adjust my life. Now, I was just stubborn enough for the universe to have to smack me down in order to get me to listen. Because there had been lots of signs telling me that I needed to research spirituality. I needed to find my own spirituality. But I didn't listen. I was too busy. I was too busy trying to achieve and do all this wonderful stuff. And eventually my world crumbled because I didn't listen. The universe was talking to me in 1,000 different ways at that time. And eventually it realized the only way it was getting through this thick skull was to haunt me, was to make me feel unsafe in my home so that I had to change my direction. Now, since that time, I have had my eyes open a lot more to what the universe is talking about. And I've been able to see the signs, for the most part, before the universe has to smack me down. Not always. I have been smacked down again since then. Absolutely have. And it always relates to being a workaholic. But learning to tell those signs, even that reinforcement of being smacked down, helped me to adjust my life in a way where now I'm living in joy. I'm living in a place where I see signs from the universe every single day that let me know that I am loved, that let me know I'm on the right path. It has made the world, for me, magical. Every single day is magical. And understanding synchronicity gives you that magic. It allows you to come from a joyful experience. So I wanted to share my little ghost story with you because that was a very traumatic time. And I had to really figure out why that was happening to me. Take a journal, just like you would do for your dreams, a dream journal, where you write out your dreams in whatever detail you can do. Have a journal with you for your synchronicities, for your intuitional hits. When I'm walking through my house the same way every single day, and all of a sudden a book takes note of in my periphery, I'm going to go to my journal and I'm going to write down the date. I'm going to write down the name of the book and what I was thinking about when that book popped into my vision. When a song pops into my head, I'm going to write down the date, the title of the song. If I can remember what lyrics were playing in my mind, I'm going to write those down too. And what I was thinking about right before that song popped into my head. And how did it make me feel? That's an important one too, is to write down what you felt at that time, even if it's nothing. I felt nothing. I felt fear. I felt elation. I felt calm. One word is all that you need. When you start to track these, you're going to start recognizing how often you really do receive signs. So running into a friend that you haven't seen in a long time, and their image or a memory of them just happened to pop up prior to seeing them. Even if it's a couple weeks apart, if a memory of a friend that I haven't seen in years pops into my head and then they write me a couple weeks later, that's a sign. Just keep track of these things. When that friend reaches out to you that you haven't heard from and you recall having thought of her, write it down. What about that interaction was important? How did it make you feel when it was going on? The license plates or keywords on signs. That one picture I showed you showed love on the sign. Signs, physical signs are huge. If you're driving down the highway and you typically just kind of zone out and you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden you look up and you see a vanity plate on a car, journal that down. What is that word? What is that phrase? If the billboard catches your eye and you get a flash that you're supposed to pay attention to that billboard at that time, journal it down. Numbers. If you are constantly seeing 1111 on your phone, on your clock, on your watch, on the book you're reading 1111, 222, 444, number combinations that constantly appear to you are the universe's way of tapping you on the shoulder. Write them down. What were you thinking when you received that number, when you saw that number? Crucial. What were you thinking and feeling when that 1111 popped up? This is a huge, people talk about angel numbers. 1111 is the biggest one. So if you want to test this out, other than journaling, ask the universe for support on a very specific thing that you're going through. So if you have a problem, if you have a question that you need answered, ask the universe very specifically, either out loud or put it in your journal, write it down in your journal. So you're essentially solidifying it to the universe that you need support. And one, pay attention, but two, you can go and try to get an answer. So you can do the radio, turn on a radio and see what song plays for you. You can do it with books. Ask a question. I've got like a Louise May Hay book. I've got several different wonderful spiritual books, and I'll go to the book with the question, what do I need to understand right now? What should I do about work? And then open the book to a random page and read the first thing that catches your eye and journal it. That's a message for you. That's your way of actively engaging the universe in a conversation. The more you do that, the easier it'll be to have these signs. So synchronicity it's our link to divine guidance. Now, I've completely run out of time, but this is a subject that I'm very, very passionate about. So I hope that I explained the power of synchronicity and how much fun it can be. I'll probably post a couple more YouTube videos on this because there is more information that I want to share. Please check me out on my YouTube page at Intentionality. I'm on every Monday here on Awake TV at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I've also got a Facebook group, School of Intentionality, and I've got my LinkedIn page for Ascended Warrior and Intentionality. Remember when the universe is talking to you, what that is telling you. It's telling you you are a divine being. You are a perfect being, and the universe has a stake in your life. It wants you to succeed. It wants you to be happy. It wants all of us to be happy. It doesn't pick and choose. We are all divine creatures, and we are all one. So thank you so much for joining me. Until next time on Intentionality.